Just recently, my dad did an interview with handsome Dr. Dan Rusu and his beautiful wife, Alexandra. The interview was at AMKCNR 1460 Redding, California. Catch the Rusus every Saturday from 1 to 2. Or tune in online at kcnr1460.com. Oh yeah, and all the music on my show is my daddy's too.
It's a small world. It's a small world. It's a small world. We're living in one small world. It's a small world. It's a small world. We're living in one small world. It's a small
Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Rusu Show. We're here with me, Alexandra Rusu, and my husband, Dr. Dan Rusu, and we're here with a special guest today, Mauro Oliveira. We seem to have the music going on. Still, thank you. We're having a little technical difficulties today. So today we wanted to continue our talk about environmental health. Last Saturday we had Dane Wigington on with Dr. Hamid Rabi, neurologist in Redding, and we talked a little bit about how geoengineering the weather is affecting our health. And I felt like, correct me if I'm wrong, it was kind of like we left at a sort of little bit of a doom and gloom, like this is what's happening and we can't do anything about it. And that's why I'm really happy to have Mauro on today. He's the founder of soulcommunications.org. It's solcommunications.org. It's a nonprofit that umbrellas many local and distant environmental and human rights projects. And he has a little bit of a different take on the whole geoengineering the weather. And I'd just like to welcome Mauro.
Hi, it's really good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And we were talking earlier before the show about how I felt kind of like every time I look up at the sky and I see all these, just this white fog that's out there, it makes me so mad because I think, okay, this is like a bunch of chemicals that are being sprayed on us every day and I want to do something about it, but I feel like I'm so little compared to what's happening out there. And then when I kind of like relax a little bit and think about the deeper meaning of it, which you were speaking about, I'd like for you to repeat that again because it just really made sense.
Well, first of all, when it comes to geoengineering, the chemtrail issue, I have felt some of my greatest frustrations, which has led me to the being that I am now, in a big way. And that's because I was down there when the geoengineers first met in San Diego, and I was out on a megaphone outside of their building for the entire day they were meeting. And trying to bring people attention to what they were saying, which was that they were going to start to use the airplanes, the way Dane was saying, and the way we see them outside. And to have people looking at me like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat all day long, when in actuality I wasn't even talking about the chemtrails. I was talking about what the geoengineers were saying. So there was no, chemtrail hat issue. But it seems to me that, because so much has been put on this chemtrail issue as being a tinfoil hat issue, that it's really difficult now to show people what scientists are really telling them, especially what they want to do this summer in the Arctic. But what it led me to is because I could get nowhere talking to government, talking to people, building websites, American Skywatch, Skylies, and then geoengineeringwatch.org was my website too before I handed it over to the current people. I just came to the conclusion that I'm not going to do anything. There's nothing I can do short of getting over the top. And if other people don't want to get over the top in what is clearly a get over the top situation, and in that I'm referring to the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Personally, I feel that the people in power that are doing this kind of chemtrail operation and a lot of other things, the torturing and everything else that I've been fighting for the half of my life. If people don't want to join in what is realistically ours, and take our government back so that we can live a civil society where we can finally embrace love, compassion. Men can embrace their femininity for the first time. If we're not going to do that, and then how can I continue banging my head all the way and sacrifice those own things in myself? So I can't. And I've watched so many friends in the chemtrail issue turn into something that they were not.
Yeah, you said you've heard people break up friendships over it.
Oh, all
and
kinds
I've heard
of
that
stuff.
too.
It's amazing what has happened.
I mean, me just posting some things about it on Facebook. Even my brother commented on it, like, "Are you going crazy? You know, like, what is this?" And just making fun of me, and and like when I first heard it, honestly, I thought like the person who told me was totally crazy. And then the more I read into it and I researched it, I thought, okay, maybe they weren't so crazy, and it is affecting our health and it is affecting our children. But at the same time, if I get so crazy about it, how is that helping anyone?
It isn't.
Do you know what I mean?
It isn't. In fact, we're going backwards. Because if there was an intelligent anti-design, we have intelligent design. If there was an intelligent anti-design, this is a beautiful play. This is well scripted for that side of it. Because keep the humans distracted while their evolution passes them by. And that is exactly what's happening. We have reached a point where the planet has no more to give us. Putting us up against the wall. We are backed into a canyon like a group of animals. And we can't go forward because the hunter's there. We have to create a way out, and we literally have to build a door through the rock behind us and get out. And you know what? We can. Humans can do anything. And so that's what we need to do. We need to form a door.
Hold that thought, because I want to talk more about this when we get back.
So, this is Dr. Russo Show, and this is KCNR 1460M Community Radio. We'll be back in a few minutes with Mauro.
To the star above, to the heavenly view. I look at the ceiling, to the plan, the course that you drew, that leads to a destination known by no one but you. Time flies on by inside you. Dance on the wingtips of a prayer, a faith I believe. My body is piloted away as you do as you please. We shake and we rumble as we strain to break free. We sound out loud from the fire and the cloud. Flies on by inside you when I'm in your eyes.
Welcome back to Dr. Russo Show. Health is more than just a pill, and we've been talking a little bit about geoengineering, and today we're trying to switch the topic around a little bit about why we putting an emphasis on geoengineering. Why is that important? How is that affecting us? What can we do? And how we can change things around. I think that's the idea of the show, is how we can empower people, how we can
To improve their health.
improve their health, and just
In many ways.
and take charge of things. I think that it's enough letting other people just thinking that actually other people are taking care of things while we can actually do nothing, and that's not really the truth, and that's what we're just looking at. And what we want is just people to hear about this information and think about it a little bit, and eventually come up with their own ideas. And I always encourage people to look into things. This is my new intake, is just look at things. Don't say yes or no on something before you actually do your own research and you get your own idea about things, instead of just having somebody pouring information in your brain which could be right or wrong. Mm-hmm. So let's see. And Mauro, I want to ask you actually, so this way I think that I can understand better, and actually the people who are listening would understand better, is why are you, I understand that you've been an activist for a long time. What is your drive?
Well, right now my children are my drive. Making sure that, feeling it as my duty, that they're handed the same earth I was handed, or better. And already, 52 years into my life, I can't meet up with that. That's already changed too much. But right before I started having children, I was involved in ceremonies that made me realize more and realize our connection to the earth. That we are not separate from the earth. We are not even separate from each other or the animals. That we are like each a wave in the ocean, but at the bottom of our wave is the single ocean. There's only one. And I believe, like right now, there's only one being here. And so we have to move everything forward. We have to move the animals forward, the trees, the vegetation. And we don't have to move our economy forward. We don't have to move our government forward. We possibly don't even have to move our schools forward. If they aren't moving the earth and the animals and everything else forward, and then those things may need to be dropped. And I don't think we have a whole lot of time left to make these decisions, but that's the design. There's a lot of pressure coming on humanity right now. And this is where evolutionary leaps happen. A leap doesn't happen when everything's just fine on the beach. There has to be a reason for the animal to learn to fly, to grow feathers, or otherwise they would never do it. So we're here. We're with that. And at the same time, each of us has to grow as well as a whole. We need to grow. And if we can't make the whole grow, we have to grow ourselves. Whether you believe in reincarnation, that you'll come back, or whatever. I think everybody would agree that being the best person we can is a spiritual move forward. And I learned to drop out a long time ago. I learned to not make so much money that the government takes taxes from me and puts it into the war machine and does exactly what I see them doing with it right now. Drones killing children, secret programs, and even the chemtrail issue. So my whole life is an example of dropping out. You can drop out. I haven't completely dropped out, but I'm always thinking about how to take out the next piece. That's one inspirational message I'm a testament of. And,
so when I hear you say drop out, it's almost like you're being part of the world, you're in the world, but you're not of it, in a sense. You're not trying to attach so much to these things that are making everybody so crazy. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm trying not to. Mm-hmm. Right. I get drawn in a temporary battle all the time.
Sure. We're human. We all do.
If we're taking Sierra Pacific to court and my project manager is doing that, I need to support her hard. That gets me emotionally involved. Yeah. When Dane is got something big going with geoengineering, it pulls me in, and then I get pulled away from this center very easily.
Right.
And right now in my personal life, I've been drinking predominantly liquids for the last 31 days.
Oh, you're fasting.
I'm cleansing, I would say. And my anger has come up 3 times this week. I had it beat for 3 weeks. I totally did, and 3 times the anger's come up this week, and most
That's
recently
funny.
this morning. So I'm like dropping my plan to stop.
That's funny that you
this
said that
fast
because
I'm going to keep going.
we were just talking about starting a fast on Monday for 1 week because we feel so overwhelmed and just so much stuff happening that we just want to take a break and just go on liquids for a week. Same thing.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
think there's something to that because every culture, if you look at a lot of spiritual cultures around the world, they've all had that as part of their practice. And to even you're Native American, correct? Like you
I have Native American blood, yeah.
Yeah, and so they've done that in their traditions. And I also understand that you're a sun dancer. And if you could speak a little bit more about that.
Sure. Sun dancing is a Plains Native American tradition, and they don't know how far back it goes, but it goes way, 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 way back. In fact, General Custer had the unfortunate circumstance of arriving at what was known to be the largest Sundance hoop ever the day after the ceremony was over. So he ran into men that weren't afraid of anything.
I stand before you
So the Sundance is a lot of people have heard about it. It's a 4-day ceremony that has prerequisite days of fasting and of cleansing and sweat lodges. But when the Sundance starts, men basically surrender themselves to an arbor. And by surrender, I mean you've given up your food, you've given up your water, and you are absolutely going to take orders for the next 4 days and 4 nights. And you dance in the sun without food and water. And a lot of the men have piercings through their chest and have ropes up to the tree in the center.
Wow, that sounds like it.
Yeah,
hurts.
it's brutal. And it's meant to be that way. And what it does is this is what it did for me. And this is what also has really driven me is, when you take away the water, the food and everything's easy, from fasting after 3-4 days, it gets really easy. But when you take away the water, it'll drive a man to tears.
Anybody, probably.
Yeah. And especially when people aren't being real kind to you while they're doing it to you. And I'm not saying that Sundances aren't kind, because the brotherhood in the hoop is out there surviving as one. And that's what they learn to do. They learn to lean on each other's backs because they can't stand up or sit down anymore. They learn to hold each other and cry. And I've seen the biggest, brutest men turn into their feminine side. Mm-hmm. And that's what it did for me. And for me, the greatest moment in any of the 15 years that I was doing it was when I couldn't take anymore. It was about 117 degrees. We were up in Butte Falls, and it was the 3rd day, and I couldn't take anymore. And I just began to sway my hips like an old grandmother, and I held a baby in my arms that wasn't there, that I imagined. And I looked down on that baby and closed my eyes and pretended I was a big fat grandmother holding all the babies of the world. And I remember how I just started to cry. And it's opened me up in ways that I can't even ever talk about.
You're making me cry right now.
But what was really amazing was that I was shaken out of that by the helpers asking me to come with them. And there were people coming into the arbor to be healed. And they're looking at the dancers to heal them. Wow. What do you do with that? Right? What do you do with that? Now they're coming to you.
Well, I think the reason I'm getting so emotional hearing you talk about this is because I think that's what a lot of people need in this world, is that self-love and that self-acceptance. And I just think that we've come so far from that we feel like we have to put up a front all the time. You could take over because I can't control myself.
well, men are this way. Yeah.
It's I mean, just describing it, it's such a powerful experience. I mean, I cannot even, I mean, it's such a difficult thing to understand. And then, a lot of people would probably say, why do you have to put yourself through that? And unfortunately, it's hard to understand that actually, through pain and suffering. And this is, I think, that it's something that is a common theme in all the religions in the world, is through pain and suffering, through humiliation, you actually get to achieve newer states where you can have a better understanding of the world. You get yourself to the point where you can look at people around you as brothers and sisters, instead of looking at least without any interest around. I mean, if not hate.
Right. Because we are really, that's what we all are, is vulnerable deep down.
Right.
And a lot of what we do is trying to cover that up, it seems like.
And a lot of your listeners would never have to do what I did to get where I did. Mm-hmm. I'm just one of those brutes that had to be
You're
in
stubborn.
that situation.
And to go through all of that and to wind up in a service role is amazing.
Well, that's what sundancing is.
Right.
You're the lowest man on the totem
Right.
pole.
I mean, that is just amazing, not to come out of it angry or, put off, but to finding within yourself a service role.
So this is our producer. What was your name again?
Doc.
I'm sorry, Doc.
Supposed to be quiet. I'm sorry.
No,
but
it's okay. So have you done this before? Have you been in
no, I haven't. We have a lot of friends in common, and
Yeah, we do.
Mauro and I, and it's
And we just figured that out today before the show.
Yeah, it's moving to even think of that, to go through all that, and wow.
Yeah, I think especially for men, I think that they feel like they constantly have to hide their vulnerability, whereas females are much easier to let their emotions out. It's more accepted in a way for women than for men. And I think that even what's happening with the earth right now, what you were saying, so many things that are happening to our environment, this is our mother earth. I mean, it's almost like this feminine energy that we're destroying. And even what's happening in the Middle East with all these women that are being suppressed, and in many cultures and many things that are happening all over the world. It's
I
like
can't
this
believe where we are with that.
suppression of feminine energy, nonstop suppression of feminine energy. It's like this hate of like this femininity, and I don't understand what it is other than trying to cover up that vulnerability because we're afraid to be vulnerable.
When I see going on in places in the Middle East and even here, it's shocking, and it really tells me that the work ahead of us is so great, because I have to keep coming back to that the earth is going through changes now, that she's not going to be giving us a red carpet from here on out.
Hi, this is Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! You're listening to Small World Radio.
This is going to get really tough starting this. Well, it has been getting tough as last year was really tough with the Arctic and the droughts.
Mm-hmm.
This year, there's absolute indication that it's going to get. We're going to see things now that no human has ever seen, and fast in the next few months, in the next year to two.
Great.
But at the same time, we're going to be feeling emotions no human has ever felt, and we're going to be feeling desperation. And if we can balance that with faith, especially Christians, and because this is a big Christian area, if we can really bring Christianity to bear, we will embrace all this in a real positive way. But somehow we're all confused about our Christianity, and as well as other religions.
Or whatever your religion, I feel like if we could all rather, like even this chemtrail issue, for instance, I think this is a universal issue since it's happening everywhere. I mean, if we could all come together and use that as a common ground instead of,
Exactly.
it's like almost like, I feel like all these things that are happening right now on this planet are things that are happening universally. It's no longer this country issue or this community issue or this male or female issue. It's like, it's a universal thing.
And I think that also it's you have to look at you can take it as a negative thing, and you can say, this is a conspiration, and you look at the negative part of it. I think that what we're trying to do is we want to focus on actually on the positive part. How can we pull together through this? This is something happening. How can you and I think that that's what you have in people who are, who I've read of being successful, is always about going through something negative, but actually turning that negative into something positive in your life. So something negative is happening. We need to pull through that and actually use that as a leverage to get us actually higher. And higher means spirituality, taking care of ourselves, understanding everybody, and that's how
being of service.
Right.
And to get higher, we need joy. If we can't do it with joy, we won't get higher. We will get to a point and it will stop until we can find it. And if we can dedicate ourselves to being joyful and bringing joy to others, no matter what. Before, this morning I really made a boo-boo at home and spoke before, I thought. And I can check that. And I need to check it. Because joy is our ride. And delivering the chemtrail message with joy is a very difficult thing to do.
Joy.
It's very difficult, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
This is going fun. Okay, let's get a break.
Well, when we get back, I want to talk about what each of us does in our daily lives that help with bringing the joy and letting go of the negativity.
All right, this is KCNR 1460M Community Radio, and this is Dr. Rusu Show, and we'll be back in a few seconds. Welcome back to Dr. Russo Show. Health is more than just a pill, and it looks like
Definitely is more than just a pill.
looks like we're diving into spirituality, and we are actually we were kind of ready for it. We were talking about it for a while at home. This is great. I love hearing this,
And
I
actually
think
gives me more hope.
it's a great thing, and I think that we need to share with other people what we feel and what we feel that we need to do. And I think that, it's always somebody who will be ahead of you, and that's nothing bad. It's just somebody who can actually look at and if you think that it's something that you want to follow, you can follow. And through our shows, that's what we want to inspire people to do, is just to look at other people, look around, and be more involved. And
We're talking to Mauro Oliveira. He's the founder of soulcommunications.org. He's a human rights and environmental activist. He has been for a very long time. And he was just sharing with us before break about his Sundance experience. He's got Native American blood, and he's very involved in Native American ceremony as well. And so I feel like it's a great spin off of what our last show was about geoengineering and chemtrails, and how we left it as sort of like doom and gloom, like there's nothing we could do. This is what's happening to the earth. And I mean, I'm not sure if that's what everyone was trying to get across on the last show, but that's how I felt. I'm just talking from my own experience. I just felt like, oh man, like I wake up in the morning and I see these like this white fog in the sky, and I feel like I can't do anything about it. But spiritually, I think I can do something about it. And that's what you were touching on, Mauro.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you do every day? That's before break, where I was trying to see is like, what can we do every day in our spiritual life that can, help us?
well, I highly recommend the fasting. Mm-hmm. And I think people should do that all the time.
Oh,
and
I felt a difference when I fasted. Totally.
Yeah, and we switched completely to organic. We only buy organic now. It costs me a fortune, but we grow a lot of food. Mm-hmm. And with that, the heirloom seeds, all these things can bring joy. If you're working with the earth, you'll bring joy to your hands and to your body and to your mind. It might take a while to creep up to your mind. But doing those things, making ourselves healthier, will bring us joy. And if we don't know how to love ourselves, going through the motion of loving ourselves will teach us how to do it. And in a big way, this is, I'm sure, I saw your Facebook page and everything, and this is where you're leading people. And this is, in that, you should feel really good about what you guys are doing. And
yeah, and this is a service for us. It's like we've gotten to this point where we just feel like we want to serve others with what we know.
Like this show is a great way to do that. And I think that if we hold this vision of the new earth clearly in our heads, and for me, it's children running around laughing and playing, and it's adults running around laughing and playing. And I don't really see a lot of the things that we have today in it. I don't understand why we hang on to things so long that we do, like fossil fuels and things that we know are bad. How would we actually pump this stuff into our children directly? That's exactly what we're doing. We are not separate from our sky. What we put into the sky, it comes back into our body. When we put into the earth, into the waters, it comes back into our body. We are not separate. And knowing that brings me joy, because maybe we're not doing it, but this is what the Creator set up. And we have to hold that vision.
So how do you hold that vision? I mean, what do you do in your daily life that will help you not get so caught up in the news that you turn on every day and you hear about all these horrible things that are happening? You look up at the sky and you see like 1,000 chemtrails. You hear about kids getting abused. It's like all these horrible things that you don't want to think about. Like, that's why I can't watch news anymore.
Right.
But at the same
well,
time,
you're not
I don't want to be.
truth either.
Yeah. True. I mean, not all media is very truthful. Not a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, the biggest parts of humanity are completely left off the radar. The fact that we are all one being. That is like the biggest secret.
Or is it?
Well, it isn't to certain people who have a lot of power. Mm-hmm. There are some people who understand that, but use it against the rest of humanity to profit for themselves.
But even a lot of spiritual organizations, it's not very inclusive as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Leaving out a large part of humanity, which I think is not very egalitarian. So
one of the things that I think about all the time is, God, what would Jesus do if he was here right now?
He would,
with the churches and with the gatherings in his name. Oh my God. Right. And you asked me what I did. I pray. We do sweat lodges, but right now mostly I'm working with the earth. I'm trying to build up the next year's supply of food for my children, and lettuces and apples, and just really trying to get our life prepared. Not only for my family, but for other families that are going to come when things get rough. I know that people are going to come because I'm well known that I've been getting ready for this.
So you believe that there's something that's happening soon where we're not going to have access to food, access to water?
Yeah. There's a lot of things happening soon, from petroleum to the methane release. This methane release going on right now, as Dane says, is I think he said this, is probably in the material world, the most significant event that anything has ever seen. Because if it really goes off the way some of these scientists are saying, it's been 55 million years since this event happened. And that was almost a full extinction.
Okay, well, that's kind of scaring me.
That is scary, but that's not where we are going to go with it.
So where are we going to go with it?
We are going to go with it because humanity is waking up with every word I say, every word you say, every prescription you write. Humanity is waking up. And yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be really close. We might get nicked in the face by the bar. But our children's children will be here.
See the waking dream, the veil from the night. Look up to the edges of our minds. We will see our fate. The winds will change our flight. We must go within the space of time. Searching to the corner where we think there's nothing more. Look into the distance where we've never looked before and form a door. Species evolves when our love endures. The future is ours for a door. Accelerate our senses when we set the spirit free. We're living in the greatest time to be. To look through the eyes of a child. And no tomorrow is wild. We face the question on the eve of the storm. The answer is coming, and now we've been warned from a door. Species evolves when our love endures. The future is ours for a door. Species evolves when our love endures. The future is ours for Militaries at war, the politicians shake. The church doesn't have a prayer for the electrical magnetic break. Who's the Armageddon? A game the losers play. The earth makes up her own mind, and she will only take a day. Hold on, hold on. Tornado puts my arm down, you know it's a death shout. When you're inside out, when you're in.
大地的儿女听，上帝是万能的，要跟智慧的人学习，感谢上帝给我们的力，要爱地人，我们要爱这个美丽的世界，生活在平静中就做爱。
Face the question on the eve of the storm. The answer is coming, and now we've been warned from a door.
上帝是万能的，
Species evolves when our love endures.
要爱地人，
Future is ours for a door.
上帝是万能的，
Species evolves when our love endures.
要爱地人。
Future is ours. Think it through with your mind out, and you will tune with the coming day. Lift your heart to the sun now, and you will find what the earth will say. To touch us all is all she prays. Touch in the corner where you think there's nothing more. Look into the distance where we've never looked before.
Wow, this is like deep stuff here. I mean, I know, it's like as much as I know all these things that are going on, I don't want to think about that could actually happen. Do you know? Like,
Do you think the intelligent creator of all this would let that happen? I don't.
Okay, so what are you saying?
I'm saying that we are bringing up characteristics, DNA, genetics they've always been there, but they've never been switched on. And stress will switch them on.
Okay.
The evolutionary process is fueled by this. And I really believe that humanity came into being here because the rest of the world wanted us. That was here. And we want our children to be here. So it really works that way. As we become aware, as the Higgs-Boson and Bose-Higgins project that showed that there is a particle that only is there when we want it to be. And that's what that collider over in Europe discovered, that scientists were looking for something, and when they weren't looking for it, it wasn't there. But when they looked for it, it would appear. It would come out of the quantum world. This is who we are. Our bodies are not material. We're mostly air. We're mostly intelligence.
This reminds me of Masaru Emoto. He's a Japanese water scientist.
Yes.
He studies how the molecules of water change depending on how you think. So he did this test. You could Google him, Masaru Emoto. He did this test where he put 2 glasses of water. One, they would speak all these bad words to, like I think it was in a children's classroom actually. The kids would walk by it every day and just say like all these horrible words like you're stupid, you're bad, you're ugly. And then this other glass of water, it was there for a few weeks. They did this. They would say, you're beautiful, I love you, you're smart, you're intelligent, whatever. And, then they looked at the molecules under a microscope, and they found that the ones that had all these positive words said to it had this beautiful crystalline form like a snowflake, and the ones that had all these bad words spoken to it had, this sort of irregular shape. And it also makes you think of our own physical bodies and how we're almost what is it, like 80% water or something? And
yes.
yeah, and it makes you think like, okay, well, if that can happen with a glass of water, why can't that happen in our own physical bodies?
Right.
And how we think about ourselves and how we think about others. And even when you pray, isn't that a sort of transmission of this energy to someone else? Like,
even when you think.
Exactly.
And then it's like what Jesus warned his disciples and anybody else there. Is be careful what you think. You're creating this.
You know, the first book I ever read, and this was when I was 15, I picked it up, and it was a book that my parents had about meditation by Eknath Warren, and I read it. The first page said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. And that just stuck with me for the longest time. And that's what got me into yoga, what got me into meditation, what got me into studying psychotherapy, because I was always so fascinated about how the mind works and how it affects our physical bodies and how it affects other people. I mean, even when you walk into a room and you sit next to somebody, you don't even have to speak a word to them. You can kind of feel if you like them or not, or if you have something in common with them or not, you know, like you kind of feel that. And I think there's something to say for that. I mean, it goes beyond words and beyond our what we can see and touch. It's something that's
as much of this
untouchable.
Conversation will.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're talking about is a lot of it's quantum, what scientists call quantum and what we call spiritual. And it's no accident that Dr. Mono is here now, living now with us. It's no accident that the Bose-Higgins collider is now. These things are showing us who we are, that our foundation is God. Mm-hmm. We are not separate from God, the one being. That's our foundation. And all the powers of God run through us if we're in line with it.
And I hear that in so many different ways through so many different religions and cultures. It's almost like it's all the same thing, but with a different style, a different kind of kick, you know? Mm-hmm. Everyone's got their own way of expressing that. And whatever way you find of expressing that is, you know, your own way. But really in the end, it's kind of doing the same thing, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
language
that's what
has really kept us separate in many ways, languages.
Mm-hmm. But it's almost like now we're coming to this part in our Earth's history where it's not even keeping us separate so much anymore. Even if you look at things like Facebook, for instance, if you're friends with someone from another country and they write something in a different language, you can translate that. You can see what they're saying, you know, or you got these like translator things on your phone or all these gadgets that
it's so right there.
There's no more
internet
barriers.
too. It's not amazing that it's here right now. It's by design. I think in the book of Revelations it says that the tribulations and the great movement of change will come when mankind is at a time when he will know whatever he wants. And I think we're there. If we want to know something, we just have to, we no longer have to get the right answer. We have to know the right question. If we know the question, we get our answers. And we're doing it with our satellites. We're seeing the edges of the universe. We're seeing the edges of atoms or the edges of material world with the quantum world. We're guessing how many dimensions are here. 11. we truly are at that moment. But knowing all this, will it save us? No. Will our heart save us? Yes. If we put our heart, our children, and the future in front of us and walk behind that, and everything that we do is for our heart, our children, and our future, we will be on the right path. And we don't need a lot of intelligence. We don't need a lot of language.
I think it's difficult to bring the science and the spirituality together. The tendency these days is to separate them. You feel like, science brings you so much abstract things that, they're so direct. They're there, they're reproducible. And then you're talking about spirituality, which is something that is so difficult to reproduce. Your experience is a great experience, and it's a great example of you're going through something, you feel something. But that thing, unless somebody is at the same level with you, will feel it, but otherwise it's very difficult to reproduce.
Oh, actually I wanted to talk about this because this is my theory. I feel like sometimes people are not at this awake sort of place because physically they're very burdened by a lot of crap that they eat or a lot of stuff in the environment. Like, for instance, like aspartame in diet sodas. That is not even meant for human consumption. And what does that do to your brain? I mean, there's sugar, which screws with your metabolism in your brain. There's all these things that weren't naturally ever there on the earth to begin with anyway. And that will mess with your body, which will in turn make your mental function a lot slower, and never mind spiritual functioning. So, I think maybe that's the reason why a lot of cultures maybe throughout history have always done these fasts throughout the years, especially around certain religious holidays, because they wanted to maybe clean their bodies and just take this break where they could feel just from my own experience, when I fasted, I've done the most I've done is 2 weeks on, 1 week on liquids, and I had never been so clear-minded and just aware of so many things going on around me. So I think there's something to say about the body being cleaned. And
Absolutely.
Once you have that, then you can go even further. But I mean, look at a lot of people that are eating the, General McDonald's, Burger King, sodas. I don't really think that, they even can think properly sometimes with all that junk that they're eating. They
can't think properly. And let me give you an example of, what happens with a couple of things that are in the chemtrails. The aluminum and the barium both create a plaque on the neuron. And, now that we're hearing they're using fluoride over in Europe. Did Dane mention that?
He was talking about that.
I mean,
it's in our toothpaste too.
Yeah.
Don't use fluoride toothpaste.
Fluoride
people.
creates a plaque on the pineal gland. And for me, my whole life, when I close my eyes, I've always felt my being presence. The presence of my being was sitting in that spot on my pineal gland.
They talk about that in yoga.
And if we're seeing mechanisms that are put into our lives without our permission that are attacking our pineal glands, which if I believe correctly is the seat of the soul, where
that's exactly what they say in yoga.
And then we are being attacked, and our evolution is being attacked. And I don't separate the negative from the positive that it's not here. I believe there's a very intelligent focus on making sure that we don't get across the finish line.
Small World Radio, 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 Small World